All right, welcome back to Bitcoin Treasury Companies Analysis, Episode 3. If you haven't joined us for the first two, I suggest you go back and watch those so you're not completely lost, because we can get a little deep into the weeds on some of the data here. I can get hyper-focused on this. Today we're going to cover a few topics. We'll cover updated recommendations of each company, where I kind of stand now. It's been a lot of buzz this week, especially around MicroStrategy and other companies as well. And then I also want to cover a few key metrics that I've added again. And again, as I mentioned last time, this is going to be an ever-evolving, working, living spreadsheet here where, as information comes in, as new metrics are created, as data is available, as the community continues to put ideas out there, I am going to continue to try. Again, the goal here is to aggregate all of it into one place, so you can get just a quick, clean, hopefully accurate snapshot of where each of these companies stands, so that when you hear a metric thrown out that you may not completely understand, that's okay. You can at least get a quick visualization for where it stacks and where they rank against each other, right? So I'm trying to keep this apples to apples, trying to make this as easy as possible with color codes of, green being good, red being not so good or bad. And so let's just jump in here. A couple of new categories that I've added this week are, as I mentioned last time, we got the market cap coming in directly from Google Finance, as well as the price. So that all should be in real time. So that makes it less manual to continuously update this. Now, what I've added here is sats per share. So this is the number. Everyone knows that, or maybe you don't, that one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis, right? So a Bitcoin is divisible, highly divisible. In fact, the 21 million hard supply cap is divisible by 21 million coins. That's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis that make up that number in the supply cap. And it's not important the number, it's important that it's a fixed supply cap. Because as governments and central banks continue to print money, and we continue to see inflation in the ever expanding credit system we live in, the fiat system, you're going to see that go up against the immovable fixed supply of Bitcoin, and it's 21 million. And so as these Bitcoin companies are taking advantage of that system where dollars are continuously being added and created out of thin air into lending through financial institutions, you're seeing these companies move their cash, their melting ice cube, their treasury, into Bitcoin. And so you can see here that Strategy stands out, obviously, at 191,726 Satoshis, or sats, per share. So again, if you don't completely understand the 8 decimal places that is used in Bitcoin and Satoshis and what a sat is, that's okay. Understand that per share, Strategy is way ahead, as they are in every category just about, on the number of Satoshis per share. Then you say, okay, I want to break this down a little bit further. So what I did here is I took in column I the same equation we were looking at here in H, which is the sats per share, but now I'm breaking it down per dollar of the share price. So right now, Strategy's cost per share is $406, we'll call it. So it's then dividing by that so that you get a breakdown of how much they actually own per what each dollar you'd have to spend to accumulate their shares. So in this category, you can actually see that they are not the leader, which also got me going on another rabbit hole last night when I'm looking for anomalies. I'm looking for things that stand out. And what stands out here is microcloud hologram. And I am actually going to remove this from my spreadsheet. You might say, why would you do that? Well, let's go first to bitcointreasuries.net. And this is a great resource. They are, not only do they update how much Bitcoin each treasury company has, they update each purchase. So you can go in and actually see the purchases made. So let's look at microcloud hologram. Again, that's ticker HOLO. And if we're looking here, they've got 2,353 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And again, if you want to know how many Satoshis that is, you take that times 100 million. So that's a very large number, right? But again, still part of the fixed supply of 21 million hard cap. Okay, so for the companies, what you want to see here is you want to see a lot of entries. You only see one here, though, for hologram, which right away is a red flag, right? That jumps out. Okay, so they've only had one, and we're showing that they bought this for $197 million back on March 11th. They purchased the 2,353 Bitcoins. Okay? So this was submitted by a private user. And this is why it's so important. Like, there's a lot of good data out there, but a lot of it is this is all happening so fast that a lot of this is more difficult to verify. Let's just say that. So I come in and I'm looking at different things. I'm talking to LLMs. I'm looking through news articles, and they're all kind of the same thing, and they're all kind of citing and sourcing each other. But what you'll see, and what I'm getting at here, is you're just seeing confirmed the purchase of up to 200 million in Bitcoin and crypto related derivatives. Okay, so it doesn't give a number. They're not being transparent. Nowhere on the microcloud hologram website, by the way, which you can go to as well, does it show a detailed or clear purchase point. It talks about this blanket, right? And that's okay. There are other companies that are doing that. Like Mara yesterday announced more convertible debt, right? It hasn't directly translated into Bitcoin. Their stock price went down. So as Mara went way down yesterday, my opinion on it is that it got oversold. And I actually have a buy rating on Mara as of today. So again, if you come over to column Y, you'll see my recommendations. These are my updates. But let's get back to cloud. I don't see anything on their website. I see sources quoting them out of China. I see some out of the US on TradingView, and I see the Cayman Islands as well, as sorted by Bitcoin treasuries. So as I'm looking at this and looking at HOLO again here now, by the way, from a technical standpoint, HOLO may have very well bottomed. They may have very well bottomed, and this could wind up being a, quote, screaming great deal buy, okay? Not saying that's not the case. It very well could be. But what concerns me is I am not getting a valid answer from any source as to why in the world the market cap, and this is through multiple sources, the market cap's around $25, $26 million. Shares out there between 4 and 5 million shares, right? When I see that, and those numbers are, again, being plugged into the spreadsheet here, it doesn't make any sense. The MNAV is 0.09. Find me a better deal in the market, right, where if they closed up their operations and they stopped doing AI and holograms and all the, they do have patent work out there, and there are people calling them a scam. I'm not saying whether it's a scam or not. I'm just looking for things that stand out. And it's like, okay, the MNAV is so far below anybody else's. The sats per $1 of their share price is so far above everybody else's. This isn't making sense, right? So my only conclusion is something has to give in this, right? And my hunch is they don't own the Bitcoin that they say they do. So if you're out there listening to this and you can point me to something, I would be happy to use that and to update this appropriately. Again, the idea is to get all the information from the community aggregated into one place, but garbage in, garbage out, right? And so I am strongly suggesting that this is not an accurate number, because otherwise they are so underpriced. You should be, selling a kidney to go buy hologram right now. And I'm just kidding. I say that in jest. None of this is financial advice. But we have to look out for things that stand out. And to me, Kango stands out. And because I'm getting mixed signals, I'm not getting clear information from their website or any source out there in all of the searches, talking to LLMs, I am actually going to remove it. Okay? I'm actually removing hologram today from the spreadsheet. So after you're done watching this and you go back in, you'll see this is going to be gone. Why? For all the reasons I just listed. I cannot confirm it. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Another couple of things I wanted to look at, as I touched on earlier, Mara had a big sell-off yesterday due to the convertible bond that they're going to do. And every time that happens, we know that the share price, because of the arb traders, are going to short the stock. That stock is going to go to oversold every time. They're going to get the lowest price they can possibly get. And it's okay if you don't completely understand that either. Just know that and this is why I didn't include this in the levers, by the way. Maybe I'll go back and put this in, the convertible bonds, because I thought we were going to kind of move away from this. Companies seem to be moving away from this, but Mara is back with this. And so what happened to their stock yesterday? It was down double digits. So again, when I see that looks to me like a setup that they're trying to get, the arb traders are trying to get that down. They have to, by the way, sell everything short that they're going in with the convertible bonds. And so because of that, the share price gets suppressed lower than it probably should be. Mara has actually been on a nice run as of late. If we look at the Mara structurally, it looks like they're in a trend here going back to the beginning of April. This trend is your friend. So to see this big move yesterday and today doesn't really scare me. We're back down to this blue line represents VWAP, or volume weighted average price. So again, nothing's broken on this trend. We still are above support, right? And so Mara is just going to wind up adding more Bitcoin here soon, I'd imagine. They've got their earnings coming up in 5 days. They currently hold the second most Bitcoin in the world. Okay, they're 50,000, and they're looking to add more to the balance sheet. So I actually moved them from a hold to a buy, especially after seeing the price movement yesterday through the announcement of the convertible bond. Another one that I see that stands out a lot is Saquon's. I don't know if it's Sequans or Saquons, being that it's a French company. I'm going to pronounce it Saquons. Plus, we all love Saquon Barkley. Shout out to Saquon, one of the OG Bitcoiners, athletes in the space. So Saquon's based out of France, does cellular semiconductors, and whatnot, and they actually have a really strong underlying business that probably has run its course, much like similar to where it'll probably start to go back up again. But if we look at SQNS right here, we can see that it made a massive move in 2024, came back and filled this gap. This is a gap, right? And typically you'll see this. It's not uncommon to see market makers come back, fill the gap, and ensure that that is really support. And then you see it actually come in and put in a lower high here, right? And this is back in July of, actually just at the end of June, so just like a little over a month ago. And then we saw the announcement that they were going to be going heavy into Bitcoin and their purchase plans. And then we saw it go just crazy to the upside, right? It did get overbought as these things happen. We see an options market start to try to catch up. We see that now being brought back down in tandem, but it's already come down and retraced quite a bit. So I'm a buyer here. Again, it's a high risk, it's a small cap, right? Its market is $60 million. They've got an earnings report coming up, so that could be a catalyst. But when I'm looking again at all things being equal, and I come over to the treasuries here and I look at some of their numbers, and I see that they're acquiring Bitcoin per day. I see that their MNAV is really low. Not quite, it doesn't stand out as much as MicroCloud, and they've been much more transparent. And I'll tell you another thing. Saquon's is working with Swan Bitcoin. Okay, so this has been mentioned here this morning. Just released, Saquon's and Swan announced strategic Bitcoin treasury management agreement. That basically means that Swan, who's an expert in the Bitcoin space and being led now by Ben Workman, and the newest additions is CIO to that team, is doing the legwork here and the hand-holding and actually, playing out the strategy of their purchases. So they couldn't be in better hands. Again, so that's a key reason why I'm long Saquon's and getting rid of HOLO, because HOLO doesn't have this defined relationship. So there's someone else who posts on here, KH, this valuation seems incredibly compelling. I own Saquon shares and options here and been adding to my position. Sentiment, the overall, this is Bitcoin treasury company space, feels super low, and the dislocations like this can create great opportunities based on my experience, not financial advice. Yeah, I agree. I look at the fundamentals, I look at the company, I look at the transparency, I see that they're working with Ben and the team at Swan. I see what's happened recently to the stock retracement, and I think, okay, yep, we've come back enough, all the hype is over, and we've come back down. MNAV is really low now. To me, this is a buy, okay? So I'm now a buy here. I'd like to see them have more levers. I'd like to see them ramp up, be able to do things. But just based on the price and what I just mentioned, it's a buy right here, okay? So really that's all I wanted to cover for today. Again, if you're not familiar with some of these categories like MNAV and days to cover MNAV and the yield year to date and the P-bid, leverage, go back and watch some of the earlier videos. We'll probably break these down again on a future video. Again, the explanations tab here has an explanation to every single column, what we're trying to do, how we're using the data. Okay, so just like hologram, I am out. We'll see.